next speaker is the co-founder and CEO of Launchworks. He helps organizations to harness the power of ecosystems and innovative platforms and business models. Before joining, before creating Launchworks, he was the director of strategy, economics, and regulations at KPMG. He is a guest lecturer in numerous business schools around the world, and he's also the co-author of Platform Strategy and Mission BlaBlaCar. So please put your hands together and welcome our next speaker, Benoit Reillier.
Thank you very much, Laura, for these kind words. Thank you, Amanda, for this great introduction. Good afternoon to you all. Nice to see so many friendly faces. I say good afternoon, but of course, good morning and good evening for those of you joining us online and who are sometimes in different time zones. I'm always amazed when I see all the countries that are represented. So we've got 20 minutes or so together, and I'm going to talk about the state of the platform economy. And I will start where we left off last year. So let me see if the clicker works. So last year, I presented this slide, and this is a great way to visualize, the way our economies have transformed over time. So if you go back in time and look at these companies in black, you'll see you've got, General Electric, the largest company in the world in 2001, for example, and this had been a large company for a long time. General Electric was a founding member of the Dow Jones in 1896, I believe. So, has been around for many years. And these companies, GE, CT, Walmart, all that, they manage huge value chains. And that was the main business model for many years, powering our economies. And this changes in 2016. You're familiar with these digital platforms. They're in green on the chart, and the famous GAFAMs. What do these guys do? Well, of course, they manufacture things, but at the heart of their business, they attract participants, match them, connect them, and enable them to transact. And that's a platform business model, and that's what marketplaces are all about. That's what social networks do. That's what you do when you run payment networks, and so on and so forth. So what has happened this year? What is changing? Well, these digital platforms are still there. They've grown a bit. I mean, if you've got good eyesight, you can see the valuations. We're now, above 3,000 billion, so 3 trillions of US dollars of market capitalization. So this is the market cap of the largest firms in the world. But there's a new kid on the block. There is NVIDIA. So NVIDIA is now the largest company in the world in terms of market capitalization. And it's 3.65 trillion, I think. Clearly, stock prices go up and down, and the sort of sequence may change, but this is a major change, and it's a rapid change. NVIDIA has been around for a while, but it has grown quite significantly over the past few years. And why is NVIDIA so big? Well, NVIDIA, as many of you know, they're manufacturing effectively the chips that are at the heart of many AI applications, and all the other digital platforms are buying these chips in order to add AI capabilities to their products, to their services, and to their business model. So big shift, and we're going to talk a bit about that later as well. So stepping back again, last year I talked about a number of trends for 2024, so this year, and we talked about platform-powered ecosystems. So what is that? That's about the response of all these traditional business models to the platform disruption. So if you run shops, if you have a chain of shops in the UK or around the world, you can, of course, yourself use these innovations and add to your business model a platform capability. So if you run a DIY shop, maybe you can add content so that people can do DIY better. Maybe you can add products so that people have a long selection of references, so your stock is bigger than what you actually have in store. And so that's a marketplace, a product platform, and you can, of course, add a service platform so that you connect the people within your ecosystem that can help one another. So you can connect the electricians and the plumbers within your ecosystem with the people who need actually these skills and expertise for their work. So just an example. And that really has accelerated this year. We talked about B2B platforms last year, and clearly this is maybe less visible when you're focused on consumer platforms, because the brands are not consumer brands, so they're known within the verticals within which they operate. But this also is a big trend, and if you have to ship things globally, if you have to buy things wholesale as a business, etc., we see lots of platform activity in that world as well. Freight is now being managed with global platforms, etc. We talked about the circular economy, and in particular, we talked about platforms that allow you to reuse, refurbish various products and that are part of the circular economy. You even have platforms like Too Good To Go that help you not waste food. So really, every single vertical is impacted, and this has been really a theme this year as well. We talked about regulation, so it's easy to predict that there is more regulation, especially in Europe, but that was the case in 2024. For the first time, platforms are regulated. There are a number of regulations in Europe. I'm sure you've heard about the DMA or the DSA, the Digital Markets Act or Digital Services Act. There is even an AI Act, and there is new regulation in the UK. And there's a Digital Markets Competition and Consumer Act, the MCC, if you're looking for acronyms. Lots of new regulations in 2024, and this will carry on as we will discuss. And last year, we talked about new tech as well. And we talked about the fact that AI was going to become increasingly important. And boy, wasn't I disappointed. I mean, AI has been in everybody's, on everybody's lips for many months. And I was talking to some people arriving here, and I understand quite a few people are actually coming from AI meetings as well. So it's really increasingly important. So if we step back a little bit, we're really part of a new wave. And as you know, I was talking earlier on about the value chains of the Industrial Revolution, and we've been through that, through these developments. We've seen the previous waves, and now we are at the start of a new wave that is really going to be powered by AI. And this is very important. Why? Because if I overlay the economic growth impact of these waves on the chart, you see that really these innovations in technology and in business models are at the heart of economic growth. And you can see that the GDP per capita goes from less than 500, and it was flat for thousands of years before the Industrial Revolution, and it starts to increase at the beginning of the Industrial Revolution, and now it's going up, and we're going to be around 15,000 next year or at the end of this year. So I'm going to share with you some trends, some of the things that we think are interesting, are new, and are going to shape the digital platform markets going forward. It's always a difficult exercise, but we've selected a number of trends for 2025. So the first trend is what we call ecosystem competition. So there is clearly a shift from product to ecosystem. Before, you used to buy a product, it was a standalone purchase decision, and increasingly when you buy something, it's part of a larger set of market participants, and you see that when you buy a watch, or when you join a mobile, you buy a mobile and you join effectively an ecosystem, a platform with lots of market participants. This is very interesting because it means that at board level, increasingly, we talk about ecosystem strategy, and firms are asking themselves, which ecosystem am I a part of? Who else is in that ecosystem? What role should I be playing in that ecosystem? And it's not just a top-down thing, it's also a very organic thing where people decide that they share some values, and staff moves from one company to another, etc. And they decide that they want to gravitate around some missions, some purpose. And ecosystems are broader, they're larger than firms, and therefore they're also able to accomplish much more and achieve big objectives. If you want to solve big problems for the world, an ecosystem strategy makes a lot of sense. So we think we'll see more of that in 2025, and how you orchestrate these ecosystems, what are the governance principles of these ecosystems, is going to be a very interesting topic going forward. So another trend that we think will start and continue in 2025, that we've selected, is digital twins. So digital twins, these are virtual models of a physical good or a process or a system, and they mimic the real world counterpart of that. So you can have digital twins of lots of things. It already works in lots of settings, but it's not widespread yet. But it's increasingly important, and we see that being applied at a macro level. So if you want to understand climate change, for example, it's very helpful now to create a digital twin of the Earth and understand how that model works and do simulations on that model. And you can also create digital twins at a country level. So increasingly we see central banks, for example, creating digital twins of all the households in the market, and they then test what happens when you increase exchange rates, for example. So it's called agent-based modeling in economics, and you can see, if certain areas, certain streets even, are going to be at risk of foreclosure under various, simulations and assumptions. So very powerful way of approaching these issues. You can create digital twins for your firm, for your company. Uber, for example, has got digital twins for its entire ecosystem, so it can do simulations about traffic conditions, about various business assumptions that it wants to test. And we can have digital twins for ourselves, and it's increasingly used in health. There's a health panel later on. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit. But you've got digital twins for yourselves, and digital twins for organs. In some cases, before surgery, a digital twin, for example, of your heart can be created so that you can actually test what may happen under various assumptions about the surgery, and the surgeon can actually test various procedures. So digital twins, we think 2025 will see the birth of many digital twins. The next trend we identified, we thought was very interesting, is what we call ultra personalization. And I remember writing this article with Laura, actually. It was more than 10 years ago now, and it was the title was something like "The Segment of One: A Marketer's Dream," and it was really about how you can use information to create products that are really tailored to individuals. And we're getting there, but it's quite impressive the speed at which this is now happening. You can really get a diet that is tailor-made for you now based on your blood sugar response, etc. I mean, all the building blocks are there. It hasn't been scaled up and industrialized as a product, but it's really going to emerge, we believe, start to emerge next year. And you can do lots of things that are going to be individualized. In your everyday life, one of the main changes is going to be the way your personal assistants will become truly personalized. So your Alexa, your Amazon, your Google will now reply to you, but it will recognize your voice, and more importantly, it will hold information about you in its memory, its context window. So it will be able to contextualize the question you ask and become much more personal. So ultra personalization, we believe, is here to stay. There is even a service that can write a book for you. You can describe your taste, and it will what you're looking for, and it will write a book just for you. So you can see that we're going to the limit. And there is a service. I'm a great fan of Midjourney. So all these illustrations are made with Midjourney, which is an AI tool. But there is another great tool called Notebook LM. If you haven't tried that yet, I highly recommend it. It's a Google project. And basically, you upload any content and you can interrogate, question this content, and it actually even creates a podcast just for you of the content you uploaded. So very personalized. Another trend we identified is what we call holistic sustainability. And we've seen that shift over the past few years. Many clients would ask us for help when they launch, say, a sustainable, circular economy platform, for example. And it used to be that you were either a sustainability project or not. And then now we're seeing that every project has got a bit of a sustainability angle, and we believe next year will be a tipping point. And now everybody with a project has really got to embed sustainability considerations into the project itself. So even if your platform is not really sustainable by itself, you have to ask yourself, what will be required from the ecosystem I'm going to operate in for my project to be sustainable? So we believe holistic sustainability will be a theme for next year. Another theme, and really this is something we talked about last year, but this is going to become increasingly important, is regulation. And every time there is a change, every time there is a shift in the waves, we talked about, there's new technology, there's innovation with technology, innovation with the business models themselves, you really have to rewrite the rules of the game. And regulation are important, and we're going to see a number of things in 2025. We're going to see the enforcement of the regulations of digital platforms that have been effectively voted and are enforced since March this year. But the first cases will probably happen next year. So we'll see how ecosystems that are maybe a bit closed, like Apple's ecosystem, fare in this new environment. And we're going to see new regulations as well, in particular in AI. And society will have to make big decisions about what do we do with AI, and make sure that rules like the fact that you may want AI to actually says it is AI. So it's forbidden for us to impersonate other people, but at the moment there is no regulation preventing an AI from impersonating people in some ways. So we want to create some rules around that, but clearly there is a trade-off between innovation and regulation. So lots of thorny questions about where we place the cursor, how we can get both, and we get the regulations we need, and at the same time the innovation that is required. And clearly there's a panel that will discuss this as well. One thing that is going to be important, I think, as well in terms of regulations, is that we're going to see the impact of regulations in a tangible way on products. So some geographies, maybe in the US, and I'm not, making value judgments about whether it's right or wrong, but maybe in the US, some products will have capabilities that will not be available in Europe. And maybe in the UK, some products will be available that are not available in Europe, and maybe not available in the US. Or we are going to see diverging paths, or the tangible impact of some regulations. So this is going to be an interesting time. Another key trend we see is the increasing automation of some aspects of platform businesses. Not all of them, but some businesses. So clearly, platform has got more than one side. It has got two sides. It attracts participants from two sides. So you can think, of Uber as a platform with taxi drivers, and people want to be taken from A to B, passengers. And we've seen the shift from traditional, taxi markets, and in many cases, with monopoly provisions. The disruption brought about, and also, the choice and the the growth in the market brought about by innovations and Uber and other market participants like Lyft and Bolt, etc. And now what we're seeing is that innovation, and in particular AI innovation, is enabling self-driving in that case. And it's slow. It will take years before it becomes ubiquitous, but increasingly you see business models being scaled, and you see the number of miles of cars that use self-driving really growing exponentially. So we think 2025 will be the beginning of that curve. Now, I took the example of self-driving cars, but we see that happening with lots of different platforms. So there is a big topic for platforms, what is the impact of AI for us? Many platforms are actually boosted by AI, but some platforms have got to watch out for the substitution. I mean, there is a platform of tutors, for example, so students on one side and people helping them with their exams and learning on the other side. And these platforms, many of them have unraveled in only a few months, because you can go straight to ChatGPT and ask the same question, and ChatGPT is actually pretty good at cogently articulating an answer for a student across most topics. And suddenly, these platforms have to think about how they add value in these ecosystems. So another thing to watch out for. So very briefly, I'll recap. So we talked about ecosystem competition for next year, digital twins, ultra personalization, new regulations, and automated platforms. So these are the main themes we picked out. And you may have noticed there is a theme going across all the themes, and that's really AI. And we think 2025 will see even more AI than we've seen in 2024. So much so, in fact, that we're launching something called collective intelligence for AI. And we've seen lots of people, lots of clients we've been talking to, interested in AI, not really sure where to start, not really sure where to scale, not really sure that their investments are justified, not sure they have got visibility over the kind of policies that will regulate the use of AI going forward. And we believe it makes a lot of sense to bring together that community and work together on these topics. So this is an announcement. This is not the launch today, but since I'm predicting what's going to happen in 2025, I'm predicting the launch of collective intelligence .ai or for AI. And if you're interested, please do not hesitate to reach out if you want to get involved. I know I've spoken to some of you already and some corporates, etc. But lots going to happen on that front. That's it from me. Thank you very much, and I hand over back to Laura.